Welcome. We'll start with the expected series questions today. Now today what we would be covering is the topic on science and technology. This series on science and technology will be covering in 3 different lectures. So the first lecture that we will be covering today talks about the basic science developments. In the next lecture, this would be followed along with the discoveries, mainly the developments taking place in the field of space technology, and in the last class we will be focusing specifically on computers and IT. So do subscribe to keep in tune with all the new updates on the expected questions. Now the first one for today is Medwatch. This is an authentic platform for a kind of mobile app for health, mainly for the Indian Air Force people, and this app has been named as Medwatch. It would also provide information for timely immunization for the children of air warriors and so on. So this is an important app that has been released, and since it would be providing information on immunization, it would be in line or synchronized with Mission Indradhanush that talks about universal immunization. So we would be covering even the names of certain schemes that would be useful for you further. The next is Nano Capsules have been discovered, and these would act as drug carriers. So these would be small capsules, and mainly for diseases like tumors where they would be helpful. This is a very important topic for today. What has happened is there have been lots and lots of hospital based infections that are coming in news. These are mainly in 2 forms, gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Of the total infections, we say 20 to 25% account for the gram negative infections. So Indian firm which is based in Bangalore has received grant from Combating Antibiotic Resistance Biopharmaceutical Accelerator for developing certain antibiotics which could help or treat the hospital based infections. So that's again very important. Very important question, what is Semaphore natalis? So Semaphore natalis is a simple DNA screening test that could be done on the onset of the childhood, and it can detect nearly 193 specific diseases. So for UPSC and other exams where you have GK as one of the components, this could be a very direct question, what is Semaphore natalis? Many of the students can get confused with this terminology, considering this to be a terminology from sports. So make sure you are not confused. The next important thing is the first digital online oncology tutorial has been released, and this has been released by Tata Memorial Hospitals from India. So again an important landmark for India. It has been an initiative along with the Ministry of Health in India. The next is first solar storage power plant has been established in Port Blair in Andaman. Now why Port Blair has been chosen for this? Port Blair has been chosen for this because it is one of the very famous tourism destination, and therefore you have this storage plant by NTPC which has been established in Port Blair. So again it's important. The next is a very important concept to understand. When the sun itself has the solar maximas and the solar minimas, that's during a period of 11 years, it is in a kind of cyclic fashion, you have the solar maxima and the solar minima that occurs. It has been estimated by one of the scientists, physicist Dan Lubin, that by 2050 we would reach into an age of minimum ice, or a kind of mini ice age, where we would say the sun is getting cooler by 7%, and therefore it would have an impact on the earth and its atmosphere. So this is one of the recent propositions that have been laid down by Dan Lubin, very important. So we would be in a phase of solar minima during that time, and that's why we would have a kind of lower temperature, a cooler earth, or we would say a mini ice age could enter in. NASA has recorded high intensity solar flares recently. Now solar flares come in when the sun's brightness increases, and therefore is important. So make sure you are aware of the terms related to sun. Recently lots and lots of discoveries have been done in the space, so we will be covering space further in a separate lecture. Very important discovery, NASA has released the first planned robotic spacecraft in the name of Parker Solar Probe, and this would be launched in July 2018. So it would study the corona of the earth, and therefore it's important. The name again is important, it's the Parker Solar Probe. So solar refers to sun, so that's how you can directly reveal it. The next is, what are sprites and breakthrough star shots? So sprites are basically small spacecrafts which have been given a general name of sprites. Then breakthrough star shots, the name is important. It's basically an engineering project which would help in producing light sail spacecrafts. So that's again important. The next is, bionic leaves have been developed. Now these leaves have the capability to convert solar energy into liquid fuel, and this would use certain bacteria for the same process. Now for this, the liquid fuel that it would convert into is isopropanol. So carbon dioxide and hydrogen, when in presence of this bacteria, would combine together. They would create a liquid fuel which will be known as isopropanol. So again, the isopropanol word itself is important in regards to this. Now Subhash has a question about maximum age, so that's available on the website. You can just go on to Examrace and view all the eligibility criteria for UPSC. The next topic that we would be starting is artificial intelligence. So we say we are in the age of artificial intelligence. Now this artificial intelligence basically means that we have the ability, or the computers have the ability to perform human-like functions under certain commands that have been given. So basically bringing in human intelligence into computers in simple terms, if we put in. So what the idea here is, we are trying to bring in artificial intelligence into various fields. So some of those that have been done, we would be discussing those. First is for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's is basically an old age disease that we say, usually related to retardation or degradation of the nervous system. So this artificial intelligence system would help predict and bring in the guidelines for Alzheimer's, and this would be really interesting breakthrough for this disease. The next is SAM. Now SAM, the word itself is important. This is a politician who has been created by artificial intelligence. This politician, which has been named as Sam, has been created by Nick Garretson. So both the creator and the name of the politician that has been created is very, very important. The next is few terms like data mining, geofencing and artificial intelligence we have already talked about. So data mining, data analytics we have covered in a separate lecture where we have talked about digital reforms in India. Again, I would emphasize digital reforms in India are very, very important. So make sure you cover those carefully. Now geofencing is basically an idea where there is virtual parameter of the given geographical area that is talked out, and that is what is known as geofencing. The next is Microsoft has launched a project Brainwave. Now this project Brainwave is again related to artificial intelligence. Now there could be a direct question on what is project Brainwave. So it's a project for real-time artificial intelligence. It's nothing to do with human physiology. So make sure you are not confused reading certain terms. So cover those carefully. So project Brainwave, which is for artificial intelligence developed by Microsoft. The next is similar application of artificial intelligence for discovery of the planets, and this is for the first time that the planets have been discovered based on artificial intelligence. The two planets that have been discovered that are very, very important, and both of those are exoplanets. So it's Kepler 90I and Kepler 80G. Now there could be choices where it could be 90G, 80I and so on. So make sure you are not confused with those. It's 90I and 80G. So I comes later and 9 comes later, so that's how you can remember it. So I would collaborate with 9 and G would go with 8. So that's how you can memorize those. The next is rover, the Opportunity rover or the Opportunity Mars rover, which has been sent to moon basically is talking about the presence of ancient lake, and this ancient lake has been discovered near the Perseverance Valley on the surface of the moon. So that's again important. SpaceX, under SpaceX you have Falcon Heavy rocket that has been launched. Now SpaceX, the CEO is Elon Musk, and recently it has been a lot in news. So make sure you cover those carefully. Vinod has a question, how students from computer science engineering can prepare for UPSC. So definitely the background does not matter a lot. You have to work on your general studies. Prelims gets a better edge for you because you have the clearing qualifying paper for the CSET. That should become easier for you. But for mains, definitely work on answer writing skills. That is very, very important. So coming back onto the topic, you have the SpaceX that we have already talked about. SpaceX, as we said, is really important because recently SpaceX was a lot in news, and therefore you should cover it carefully. One question could be expected from this section. The next is, NASA is trying to explore the regions of ionosphere. For that you have two projects, the Icon and the Gold. Both of these missions are dealing with exploration of ionosphere. Now Icon would be a low earth orbit that would be released, and Gold is a kind of geostationary orbit. So both of the names are important, what they are related to and which layer of atmosphere they are related to. So they deal with ionosphere, that's important. You should not be confused here. The next is, NASA has been interested in India made thermal spray which is used for coating technology. Now this can be used in gas turbine engines in the spacecraft, and NASA is trying to procure this from India. This idea has been developed by Satish Taylor. He is a Rajasthan based researcher who is working presently in Jodhpur. He has also talked about the technology for Ytteria stabilized zirconia, which is known as YSA, and the name of the technology itself is important. The next is, in the regions of Tonga you have a new volcanic island that has erupted due to underwater volcanic eruptions, which has been known as Hunga Tong. Now when it erupted, it was believed that it would remain there for few days and so on, and it would subside again, but however now the studies have shown that it could be there for more than 30 years. So that has been a recent development in the field of origin of new planets, new islands that have been seen. The next is Ocean Observation System. Now this program has been since 1996, and we are working on the various oceanographic parameters. The India's economic exclusive zone does not talk about two of the parameters under this which are important. So it's tide gauge and coastal radar. So both of those are not included under the exclusive economic zone, that's the EEZ of India. So these two could be a question, which of the following are not part or not deployed in the EEZ of India. So remember these. The next is Marshall Islands. Now Marshall Islands lie in the Pacific Ocean. This has been the first country to recognize a cryptocurrency as its legal tender. So Marshall Island, a very small island in the Pacific Ocean, and became the first country to basically legalize cryptocurrency as a legal tender, and therefore was in news. Now this started with a partnership of an Israeli firm which was known as NEMA. So that's again important. The next is, we have developed a supercritical carbon dioxide Brayton test loop facility, and this has been developed by scientists from IAS Bangalore. So that's again very, very important. Now this would be the first test loop technology which has been developed with the help of solar heat source in the world. So the name of the technology, the test loop facility, the Brayton facility, becomes very, very important, and what it would be using is the supercritical carbon dioxide. So both of these things become important for your objective questions. What is solar occultation? Solar occultation basically means moon obstructs the path, and when it passes in front of the various celestial objects. We call it solar occultation. So recently in September 2017, it first blocked Venus, followed by Mars and then Mercury in a same line. Sometimes you have an occultation which occurs when you are blocking the sun. So you have a solar occultation and you have a lunar occultation as well. So that's again important. Now moon would also interrupt the light from Regulus. What is Regulus is important. It is one of the brightest star from the constellation Leo. So Regulus is a star from the constellation Leo, that's important, and this moon occultation would be blocking this as well. Raja has a question about world map for prelims. So we have already covered two areas, the Australia and Antarctica. We'll be bringing in more before your prelims, but not obviously all of those. We'll try to do as many as possible. The next is fast breeder reactors have now been established in Indian power plants, the nuclear power plants. This has been done mainly in Kalapakkam, and these have basically the sodium cooled fast breeder reactor systems that have been developed by the Indira Gandhi Center for Atomic Research. The next is we are trying to develop artificial silk. This project has been started at University of Cambridge and it is also known as spider silk. This artificial silk would also be known as spider silk. It would be composed mainly of water, so it would have 98% water and 2% silica or cellulose, and this would be spun from a hydrogel. So that's again important, 98% water and only 2% cellulose or silica would be there. Then Urja Ganga has been launched in Varanasi. This is a gas pipeline that has been launched in Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, and it would be providing supply to 7 cities. Those are Varanasi, Jamshedpur, Patna, Ranchi, Kolkata, Bhubaneswar and Cuttack. The next is NSDC and Google India. Together they have launched a mobile app development program for improving the mobile developers ecosystem. So that's again important. Make sure you do not miss that. The next is scientists have found a way to produce methanol using oxygen from the air, and this is merely by the process of catalysis that this could be done. And the formula for methyl alcohol is CH3OH, which is also abbreviated as MEOH. However, this is not important, but the key idea here is methanol is a cleaner, greener fuel and is considered a good substitute. So make sure you know this, and this is again important. Now we have found out that on Venus we have really felt a lot of wind in the recent days, and what has been done has been through, or the information has been obtained through the Venus Express spacecraft, which has been using visible and infrared thermal spectroscope and which has been released on the European Space Agency. The next is the human genes have been edited for embryos, the human embryos. Now initially there were moral issues for those, but later on the government approved this, considering the fact that this genome editing can bring in or bring out the problems of defective gene, and therefore it would rule out the issues of inheritance. So that's again very, very important. Now Subhash has a question that he has a poor writing skill. Now Subhash, definitely writing skill comes from practice. Try to read more. Once you read more, you would have more ideas to bring into paper, and automatically you would have the writing skills that would be improved. For the students who are sending in the test, I would definitely provide the feedback as and when I receive those. The next is cancer research. Now cancer research, you have one therapy which is known as chemotherapy that has been applied. Now this chemotherapy is by the action of chemicals and it affects the vascular system. In order to avoid that, there has been a kind of non-invasive technique that has been developed for chemotherapy, and that's again important. The next is a very important discovery. For the first time, it has been believed that the ancestors which originated from Africa left Africa much before, and those extracts, or I should say remains, have been found in the region of Israel, the cave of Israel. The cave where they have been found is known as the Mislia cave in Israel. Similarly, it was in conflict previously also, where we had the cave findings from Sumatra. So some of the remains or traces are there which show that ancestors from Africa migrated or left the region of Africa much before what has been believed so far. So that's again important. The next is, we are trying to convert the plastic into petrol and bioglue. So what we are trying to do is, all the waste from polythene or polypropylene is trying to be converted into petrol and diesel. This has been through a joint initiative of GAIL India and Indian Institute of Petroleum Dehradun. So both of those are working together to do this, and they are trying to create a bioglue which would be super strong and flexible. The next is TRAPPIST-1. Now TRAPPIST-1 is a faint red giant or we could say a red star which is nearly 40 light years away from Earth, and all the planets which fall in that region or in the territory of that star basically have water in them. So that's again one of the major discoveries that has been done. The next is chelators. What are chelators? Now if you have a oil and water mixture together, your idea is to separate or extract oil from it. So chelator basically developed by the IISER Thiruvananthapuram are hydrophobic and oleophilic, and they basically extract or remove oil from water, and this is a kind of cost effective technology that has been developed to separate the two. Government has given a vision of 2030 for electric vehicles, and we are moving towards a technology where we would be using more of hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles, which has been considered. So that's again important. Now Rachit has a question about lots of science and technology for UPSC reading in Hindu, but UPSC comes up with a surprise like unmanned mission. So definitely you have to go much beyond the newspapers, you have to refer what has been happening in the world of research. That is something that you have to cover. We have tried to cover most of that, but still you have more ventures to cover. Down to Earth is a good reference that I would recommend for covering the issues of environment and science in India. The next is the low cost hearing screening device that has been developed, and the name is Soham. So Soham becomes very important. There could be a direct question, what is Soham? So it's a kind of low cost hearing device for the newborn babies, and it is battery operative, non-invasive. The next is 3D printing of a 3D heart has been developed, and it would be a kind of soft silicon heart that would be made. This effort has been done in Switzerland so far. Then you have CancerSeek. What is CancerSeek? With a single blood test, there could be different 8 types of cancers that could be suggested, or early detection could be done for those 8 cancers, and the name has been given as Project CancerSeek. So that's important. And how would it be done? It would be done by a simple blood test. The next is, what is super blue moon? So super blue moon basically includes 3 parameters. First is the brightness is 14% more as compared to the normal moon, and then you have the blue moons that come in every 2.5 years. So it's the second of the full moon of this month that has been registered there for the January, and that's why it's important. Now super moon basically coincides with the perigee. So when Earth is moving around Sun, it follows a kind of path which is elliptical. A part is closer and the other part is far off. The part which is very close or closest to the Sun is known as perigee, and the point which is farthest from the Sun is known as apogee. So peri, P for pass, so that's how you can remember, it's the closest point, and supermoon's formation could be seen when it is on its perigee. So that's again important, supermoon formation. The next is, what is PETN? Now PETN is pentaetheroid tetranitrate. Now this has been found in UP assembly recently. Why it is so dangerous is, it is colorless, it could be kept in any of the electric device in the circuits and could create serious damage. So it's a kind of nitrate ester which is formed, and the structure is very similar to nitroglycerine. It's a highly explosive in nature. The next is Amazon has asked for drone technology patent in India. So with the help of drone, what Amazon wants to do is it wants to deliver the items by means of drones to the doorstep of the person. The next is IIT Kharagpur scientists have developed a new technology for manufacturing of biofuel. Now this would be soil to soil, much more cheaper and much more pollution free, and it would require, this biofuel would have nearly 50% semi-cellulose that would be seen. The next is ash content in the coal in India. Now ash content in the coal is very important. Indian coal usually has 20 to 45% of the ash coal, while others have nearly, the imported coal that we have, nearly 10 to 25% of the ash. So the ash amount is much higher in the Indian coal, and therefore we say that Indian ash has been formed due to the drift theory, and that has brought a change in the evolution or the discovery of the theory which led to formation of coal in India. In Munnar, we have the high altitude cloud observatory that has been established. Now Munnar lies in Kerala in Western Ghats and is important. Sahiti Pingali, she is one of the girls who worked around the integrated mobile phone app for pollution detection and a kind of monitoring kit. So based on the research that she has done, one of the minor planets in Milky Way has been named after her. That's a big work for India, definitely. The next is Mankin. Now Mankin is the first known hybrid bird species that have been found in the Amazon rainforest. It is a kind of golden crowned, it has a golden crowned body with yellow feathers that have been seen. Now there have been questions about the importance of China for the cold fusion, that's been done. Now the next is Merit app, Merit order stack and e-bidding portal. Now these have been for electricity rejuvenation of income and transparency. So that's again important. The next is excitonium. Excitonium is basically made up of excitons. It's one of the latest state of matter that has been discovered, and this has been discovered by Bert Halperin. So who discovered is important. What it is, it's a new form of matter that has been discovered. And what are excitons? So excitons are basically bosons which are formed in semiconductors. So the next is the LEGO program and the Nobel Prize in Physics for 2017. So following are the contributors from India, the 9 institutions that we have talked about, and those would be, those are the part of the LEGO mission. The next is LEGO India has been funded by 2 bodies. Now this is very important for your prelims. Usually you have questions on departments, ministries and fundings. So you have Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Science and Technology, which together have been funding the LEGO India project. It's again important. Baksali manuscript. Now Baksali manuscript is an ancient Indian text, and this text has proved that what we consider to be the origin of zero is much before what has been considered so far. So it says it's nearly 500 years before what we consider at present to be the date for the origin of zero. So Baksali manuscript is very important, and this has been housed in United Kingdom since 1902. The next is biosensors. These biosensors have been able to detect the kidney disorders. Now what has been done is, with a single drop of urine, the amount of urea concentration and pH could be measured, and this could be supplied to the biosensor. The next is, we have a project named as Breakthrough Listen project. Now this is nothing to do with the hearing device or something like that, so don't get confused here. This project is to do with the detection of the 15 fast radio bursts which are coming from a dwarf galaxy which is nearly 3 million light years ago, and this has been detected with the help of Green Bank telescope. So the name of the telescope, where it is located in West Virginia, is again important. The next here is, so it would have 4 components: breakthrough listen, breakthrough message, watch and star shot. The next is, below the surface of Antarctica, we have discovered one of the largest volcanic regions so far, and it is indeed a very interesting discovery. The only active volcano that we talk about in Antarctica so far is Mount Elbrus. We have covered that in the class on world maps in Antarctica, so you can just refer that for details. Now we are talking about a drug delivery system that has been developed, which is based on nanotechnology, and it has been developed by IIT Delhi, an all women team, and this is for the first time you have an all women team who has developed this from IIT Delhi, and it would be able to kill E. coli and Salmonella type 5 bacteria more efficiently. The next is we are working towards developing low cost sensitive carbon monoxide sensor. Now carbon monoxide is considered as one of the poisonous gases or noxious gases, and to check those we need to have kind of low cost sensors. Now these sensors could easily be established in the house because the fabrication has been done in a very innovation way, and these are very small with low cost. The next is the scientists have found out 4 bacterial stains to remove sulfur from fossil fuels. The 4 bacterial stains, the name of those are important. There could be a direct question which of those is not a bacterial stain. So there are some sections that you would have to directly remember. Again, we are trying to develop molecule that could treat the disease of chikungunya. So far for chikungunya and dengue, we do not have any line treatment that could be done. So 2 molecules PEP1 and PEP2 have been developed, and they basically have an inhibitory action to treat the chikungunya disease. The next is we are trying to develop a first contact lens that would basically be able to adapt to a bright light, and this has been done by Acuvue Ossasis contact lens, and this has a technology which is known as transitions light intelligence technology. This has also been approved by FDA of USA. The next is the Indian mosquitoes, mainly the Aedes mosquitoes which transmit dengue and chikungunya, have now been declared susceptible to Zika virus which originated from Africa, and this report has been brought forward by National Institute of Virology. So again it's important. The next is we have developed a first microfactory for e-waste, and this is the world's first microfactory that has been developed by Indian origin person Veena Sahajwal. Again important. The next is RH300. It's a sounding rocket that has been launched to study the atmospheric processes, launched from Thumba station. And this has been launched under Vikram Sarabhai sounding rocket experiment, which is also known as SOREX program. Sorry, again there could be a direct question, what is the SOREX program? So it is basically the sounding rocket experiment program that is being released by Vikram Sarabhai Institute. The next is sorry, hormone oxytocin has been banned. Now there were reports of misuse of this hormone to increase, this basically caused imbalances, and it affected the lifespan of the milch animals. So therefore this has been banned recently. The next is Kepler-2 telescope discovered a small planet which has been named as K2229b, and this is basically employing Doppler spectroscopy technique to understand this. The next is Flurry Meter. Now the name suggests Flurry Meter, but it has nothing to do with fluoride. It would basically help you to detect uranium. So make sure you are not confused if it is asked in the question. It is to do with uranium, nothing to do with fluoride. The name is Flurry Meter, but it would basically measure uranium traces in the water. The next is with Ayush help, we have developed a drug for cancer patients along with the help of the Central Council for Research. Now this has been named as QOL2C. And it basically improves the quality of life of the individual persons. The next is we have a joint team that has won the Newton Baba Fund for reports on groundwater arsenic. Now there has been a lot of arsenic pollution that has been seen. Arsenic pollution is important specifically in the regions of West Bengal, parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, where this problem is reported very high and the proportion of arsenic in water is substantially high. So you have a joint mission that has been done, undertaken by Department of Science and Technology for this. A new compound has been discovered which basically has poor thermal conductivity but good electrical conductivity, and it is basically a thermoelectrical compound. The name is silver copper telluride. That's again important, so make sure you don't miss that. Cirrus has been developed, which is a light transport aircraft vehicle that has been indigenously developed by India under the Make in India projects. What is melachidins? Now melachidins, the name itself is important. Sometimes there could be a direct question on what is melachidins. So melachidins basically are antibiotics that have been produced by microorganisms that live in the soil and dirt, and this is for the first time such an experiment has been done. This has been done at Rockefeller University in New York. The next is, for the first time in laboratory, the human eggs have been grown to full maturity. The scientists from Britain and America have done this experiment. Similarly, 3 parent babies have been basically been created through mitochondrial donation, which is also known as MRT therapy. So again, it's important. Why this has been done is to cure some of the incurable diseases, to work around those, so that those incurable diseases do not pass from mother to offspring, and therefore it's important. Rotavac is again important. It's the first Indian vaccine which has been passed by World Health Organization. Since it has been passed by World Health Organization, the key idea here is Rotavac can now be sold internationally in the South America and African markets. The next is, we have created a plant that could now glow in dark. This has been done by the scientists from MIT. Samba Masuri. Now this is a low glycemic index rice. Now low glycemic rice basically means that this is suitable for patients suffering from diabetes because the glycemic index is low and therefore it could be consumed. This is also being received a GI tag recently and is important. The next is Kala Azar. You have a new virus linked to it, and that is Leptosomonas sayumori. That's again important. The next is, we have for the first time discovered Echinothosaurus fossils in India, and this have been discovered close to the Kutch region in Gujarat. Then you have scientists who have tried to develop organic near infrared filters for the light to pass through, and this has been done by a collaboration of CSIR and National Institute of Interdisciplinary Sciences. They can absorb light from somewhere around 300 to 850 nanometers. The next is CarbFix project, very important. Under this project, what would be done is the carbon dioxide would be locked away by reacting with the basaltic rock, and it would bring in negative emissions of carbon capture. So CarbFix is an important project. This is started in Iceland. Then you have the world's largest combustion research center that has been started at IIT Madras. Then you have Sibir. What is Sibir? Sibir is basically one of the most powerful nuclear icebreaker ship. This Sibir has been launched by Russia. Besides this, you have 2 other. The largest, the first being the Arctica, which is Arctic. This is Sibir is the second one, and the third one is Ural. So these are the 3 important icebreaker ships that have been released. So with this we conclude, Karthik has a question on arsenic and fluoride. So arsenic contamination, the regions are West Bengal. Fluoride, it's mainly in the parts of Rajasthan and Gujarat, the northern Gujarat and the southern Rajasthan. So those are some of the important topics that we have covered so far. In the next lecture, as we said, we will be continuing the second part of Science Tech along with the discoveries in the field of space technology, and in the concluding third lecture, we will be working on the expected questions on computers. So stay tuned for this series. If you have any doubts, leave those as comment below the video. I'll definitely entertain all those personally. Have a very good day.